Boogie, drop that beat.
Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, Talking Out Loud with Miss Talkative. Everything I say is my own opinion, alleged, and strictly entertainment purposes. Remember, I'm just talking out loud. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on video, let me know what you think. So I was listening to Brown Skin Girl, and it was alleged that the Scotts may have lost their funding that was needed to build their dream home, Scott Manor, that they've been putting off year after year after year. And it seems like they lost the funding because the $1 million loan that Tisha took out to build Bedrock, it was reduced to what was already borrowed, and which was borrowed was $300,000. So that means to me that Bedrock is at a halt right now because they've already, I'm sure they've probably already used up the $300,000 that they have borrowed already, and it's capped off at the $300,000 now. So that other $700,000 is just, they don't have access to it anymore. The loan is, basically that's all they're gonna get. I'm like, wow, that's a huge setback for them. I know it had to be, but I don't understand why they just wouldn't go ahead on and get right. You had the money, and all you had to do was do right with the money and go ahead on and get the place built out. What were y'all waiting for? Especially if y'all already had the loan. What were you procrastinating for? Like, this leads me to believe that this is the reason why the Scotts went ahead and renovated their current home, because they knew that Bedrock was off the table for now. And even though the Scotts tried to spin the narrative as they always do, they just decided, trying to say that they just decided to renovate their current home. It's like, after all these years, and y'all just it just didn't make any sense. So it's like, why now? And if you're in the process of building a dream home with $1 million budget, why would they take from that budget to renovate a smaller home at the same time you're trying to build a much bigger home? It's like, wouldn't something get in the way? Y'all got that much money? Because if y'all had that much money, then you wouldn't need to go and rent an apartment and be squoze into a 3-bedroom apartment. They could have just went on ahead and bought a house instead of renovating their current home. They could have, I don't know what address they have, what area, what location, but seems to me that they could have did a much bigger home, or they could have got another rental property instead of renting an Airbnb. An apartment. They could have went on ahead and bought a second home and just waited on that Bedrock to be built, because you don't want, if you have $1 million budget, you don't know, you have to think about contingencies, possibilities, the what ifs. What if something go wrong? And you don't want to overextend yourself. So if you have not even gotten it off the ground, you don't want to waste any of the money. Then why would you go and renovate and spend all that money for renovation when you don't know what exactly the amount you're going to need for the upbuild of your dream house? It just didn't sit well with me. It just didn't make no sense. But even though they were saying that Bedrock was going to take about 3 more years, they tried to make it like it kind of made sense to go ahead and renovate and make the family comfortable where they were. But if you think about it, Bedrock is already several years past due. So if they haven't built Bedrock by now, you have to wonder what's the holdup? What are they doing wrong? Because Marshall claims to be this general contractor, this big old great general contractor that's doing big business all across Huntsville. So if he really is doing all these great things and being a part of the Huntsville buildup, Bedrock should have been a breeze to build. No questions asked, no setbacks, no nothing. I mean, of course, you always have contingencies, but he act like, he just got it going on. Schultz is just, a major player in the game. So why is his people not put on the project of building Bedrock? You claim to be doing all this other big business around Huntsville. Why not build your own and showcase your own stuff? But I wonder why the loan was actually cut off in the first place. Allegedly, I have to say. I wonder, was it because of the lawsuit that Marceau Scopes are in, because of the bank, the bank trying to protect their funds? Like, oh no, we're not going to risk them running in here trying to collect monies off of this loan and wasting it, and then they won't be able to pay it back in the end. So I wonder, was that a factor of the loan being cut off allegedly? Or have the Scotts defaulted on the loan payments and got themselves cut off by that? I'm just curious as to what happened, because I believe it was stated that the loan was, it's been cut off for a minute now. So it's like, what brought that on all of a sudden? Because they've had the loan out there they've had the loan for a minute, but I mean, they didn't use it wisely. They didn't use their time wisely. They didn't use the funds wisely, in my opinion. So, but the loan was they still had the loan available to them whenever they were ready to move forward with the project. And that's why I don't understand, why couldn't they just go ahead on, and the liens that they had against Bedrock, why not use the money to pay, or the money that they had coming in elsewhere? If they couldn't use the money from the loan to pay off the liens on Bedrock, why couldn't they use the money that they had coming in elsewhere to pay off the liens, so they can continue to proceed and move forward with Bedrock? And when they didn't do that, it's like, make you wonder, what's wrong with these people? Tish is in real estate and he's a general contractor. So I don't understand why they're moving backwards, why they're moving funny, like they're just moving sideways altogether, and they don't know which way is up. Because if Tisha is in the real estate game and she's selling houses, why did they need to move into an apartment? She couldn't stay in, if it was just for a couple of months. They couldn't rent one of their houses out that they're selling, like Martell did with Chris. Go ahead on, and Chris allowed Martell to stay in the rental property, stay in the house that he was actually selling. Why couldn't the Scotts do that for themselves? Or why couldn't they purchase one of the houses that, they're selling? It makes you think that everything that they're telling you is just a load of crap. Is Tisha really in the real estate game? Do she really have houses up for sale? Because I haven't, and correct me if I'm wrong, because if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong, but I haven't heard Tisha say anything about, any homes that they have closed on, bought, or sold. I've heard her complain about an office, but I haven't heard her close on any projects. I still haven't heard that the office was finished. So it's like everything that they do is just a load of smoke. So that I'm just wondering, what happened to make the bank reduce their loan. I wonder, did they misrepresent what they were using the funds for? Each time they took out an installment and the bank got wind of it, maybe possibly asked for receipts that they couldn't provide. And the bank was like, oh, no, 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 no. The money is supposed to be used for this, not for just whatever you want to, you spend it on. It's not for you to go on shopping sprees or buy cars or, just pay regular DTE, gas and light bills. It's supposed to be used for the loan of building a house. And they probably misrepresented it, and by coming up with some fake receipts, and I'm just stating my opinion, but they didn't use their money for what it was intended to be used for, and maybe possibly the bank caught wind of it and cut it off. But in my opinion, why is the sky, it's like, maybe this is why they're going so strong trying to raise money all of a sudden, because is it because they're being hit with all these loans and liens and they need to pay the lawyers to fight their lawsuit for Zen Gardens? Or maybe that's part of it. Maybe they took out some of the proceeds from the loan to pay their lawyers to fight their case against Zen Gardens, and they was like, oh, no, 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 you can't do that. And maybe that was, part of the misrepresentation that I was talking about. So I don't know, but it's like, I believe that maybe this is why they kept saying that they are millionaires, because they were claiming to be millionaires because they had got approved for that $1 million loan, even though it was for their house. And that's, if they had got the house built, that would have been an asset, and it's worth it would have been worth $1 million at the time. But within due time, it would have gained some equity where, and they may not have had liquid cash of $1 million, but they got $1 million in asset. So maybe that's why they kept calling themselves $1 million, we're millionaires, because they were able to get that $1 million loan, and I don't think it was actually $1 million. I think it was 900,000, but close enough. But it's like, maybe that's why they was able to, or maybe they thought in their head that they were millionaires because they had got approved for, Tisha had got approved for this $900,000 loan, which is, might as well say, I'm going to call it $1 million. But you fast forward to now, and it seems like they're making their imaginary charities, their foundation, and their community service their storyline, instead of showing their businesses as usual. It's like they're still going all around the circle, everywhere, down the road, up the block, any which way but to their businesses, to show their business. They are, it's like you're doing charity work, and you want people to give you their hard-earned money, which they don't see why. You haven't given them a reason to fork over their money, and they don't know what you stand for, what your business stand for. So maybe they could probably progress at these charity events if people knew a little bit more about them as business people. Don't nobody trust you with their money when y'all not being true business people. Anybody can have a foundation or want to do some community service work. But if you're saying that we're millionaires and we got a foundation, y'all millionaires where? So, are y'all millionaires because y'all are, because of your charities and your foundation, and you're funneling the money from that organization? It just doesn't make sense. But anyway, whatever the reason that their loan was decreased, the fact of the matter is they don't have access, in my opinion, and I'm going to say allegedly, they don't have access to the fund to have Bedrock built right now. So it's like they really scratching and they really gonna be scratching and surviving now, and it's going it's like it's a whole new um set of plays that's gonna come out, because I bet you they're gonna be playing even dirtier than they already were, because they don't have that them funds. And so I believe that's why they went on ahead and renovated that house, because they know Bedrock is probably, it's gonna be a miracle to one if they can get that house, if they can, get another loan for the funding for the house. But I don't know. These guys are some scammers, in my opinion, allegedly. So let's see what they got up their sleeve. But I'm just talking out loud. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on the video. Let me know what you think.